Hey guys, welcome back to another F1 2021 video. Before we begin, make sure you like the videos. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. It would really help me out a lot. And if you are returning to these videos, thank you for coming back and watching them. I really do appreciate all the support that I get on these videos. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into it. So we are starting off in the facility. We've come off a bit of a poor performance in Baku. So if you haven't seen the last video, we were doing alright at the start, but halfway through the race it started to rain. The track's already hard enough as it is in the dry, so in the wet it was this just became a bit of an issue, and we ended up crashing out. So on to the next round, put that one behind us. So as you just saw, we are doing an ultimate aerodynamics upgrade. We are also putting some new parts on the car because we're going to Canada, which is the first track that I got a win on last season. First win of career mode. We did take a grid penalty, or we will be taking a grid penalty on the energy store part that we're getting. I figure might as well take some grid penalties on these earlier races that I'm more comfortable in. That way in the later races we can use the parts we already have and not take grid penalties, because we're going to need every advantage we can get heading into the later part of the season. Those races I'm not as good at, and by that point there, a lot of the other teams are sort of their cars have already gotten a lot better than ours. So take grid penalties early and just fight our way back through the pack in these earlier races, ones that I have previously done well at. We did really well season 1 in Canada. We did have to retire due to a mechanical failure, but then season 2, that was our very first win of this My Team career mode. So I'm really confident here as we head into qualifying in the wet on intermediate tyres. Little bit of getting used to racing around this one on intermediates. This is a relatively high speed track, so yeah, getting used to it in the wet did take a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. Car sort of handles the same, just have to brake a little bit earlier and a little bit harder. You can't really accelerate too early through some of these corners like I used to in the dry, although we did go purple through sector 1. So this is later on in qualifying, lap number 4. Obviously this is at the top. At this point we're sitting P12, but we've found our groove. Oh, as we go a bit wide through that hairpin, we clip the wall, but luckily no damage. Really lucky not to have any front wing damage there, but of course it's at last. We've got one chicane left on this high speed straight, so even with that front wing damage I don't think it would have affected us too much. Coming through the final chicane, down to the start finish line. This is looking like a pretty good time. And we crossed the line in P1.
Fastest lap so far. Well done.
So we were sitting pole right there, and then we head back to the garage. So I'm pretty happy with that time at this point. But then something really interesting happened here as we're speeding up time and we're looking at everyone else's time. Everyone else is still on the track, and right there you saw it all start to change. And when we get back to here, we're in last place because every other driver went on to dries because the track was drying up. And I didn't think we'd have enough time to get there and do a lap, so I just sat back and waited. And unfortunately it means we're going to be starting from the back of the grid. So now we're going to have to try and fight our way all the way back to try and salvage some points out of this race.
Bonjour! It's time once again to go racing here in Montreal, the second largest French-speaking city in the world, and home since 1978 to the Canadian Grand Prix. It's a tricky circuit to tackle in wet conditions, with top speed still of critical importance down the long back straight. There are 2.7 miles and 14 corners overall on a circuit that in the dry can see average lap speeds of around 130 miles per hour. We'll be lucky to get anywhere near that today. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Pierre Gasly in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, George Russell and Hamilton, Ricciardo, Stroll, Giovinazzi and Esteban Ocon, Verstappen, Michael Schumacher, Carlos Sainz and Perez, Mazepin, Lundgaard, Mick Schumacher and Guan Yu Zhou, Schwartzman, Tsunoda, Latifi and the captain. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So there is the starting grid for today's Canadian Grand Prix, racing in the wet. So it's going to be intermediates all the way. We're going to do a one stop. We've got enough tyre wear upgrades. We shouldn't need to do a two stop. And I feel like maybe we can undercut some of these other guys on these intermediates. Oh no, it's an okay start from us. But we're going to make a massive dive up into turn 1, and we managed to get all the way up into 16th, and we're going to go around the outside here as well. We're just carving through them. One thing I have noticed during this career mode is that the AI tends to be a little bit more conservative on intermediates, and on this track here where I know exactly where to pass, I'm pretty confident with my ability to get up through the pack. As you can see, we're already having a P13. We've only just managed to get through Sector 1. P13 from P22 on intermediates, trying to take advantage of the congestion in the track. Once we get into proper racing speed and everyone's in their line, it might not be the same story. Make a big dive up the inside heading into the hairpin. We do go a little bit wide on exit, a little bit of a slide, but we managed to jump up into P10. We're now in the points already. What a first lap this is going to turn out to be. As we're going full speed down the straight, heading into the chicane, got to brake a bit earlier. Right up behind Stroll. He goes a little bit defensive, cuts across the front, he's pushing us into the wall.
Okay, you're in the top 10.
ERS activated there to get past. We're now up into P9. I don't know how long we can maintain this pace, but we're doing pretty well so far. I'm pretty happy with this as we get a corner cutting warning there. Got to be careful with that. Purple through Sector 1, right up behind Ricciardo. We managed to slow ourselves down enough so that we don't take any damage there. But that could have been a disaster. We would have had to pit extremely early for a front wing change. But we've settled into a nice groove here. Heading down to the hairpin. We don't stay wide. We go right middle of the track there. A little bit of a slide. We managed to hold on to it though, but we have lost some speed. And Ricciardo's now pulling away from us. Half a second to Ricciardo. We're in P8 after 2 laps here in the rain, here in the wet. Bottas with the fastest lap at 1:22.8. What can we do? A 1:22.7. So we are on point at the moment, as we managed to get past Ricciardo as well. Now we've got Russell up ahead, who seems to be doing a pretty good job of staying in front of us. In that really quick Alpine this season, Alpine doing really well with George Russell on the team, but easy as you like there. Into the hairpin, another slide. We've really got to focus on that area. We're accelerating far too hard in that, coming out of that hairpin, and I have to fix that, otherwise it could cost us later in the race. We don't want to spin there.
If you continue to cut corners, the stewards will give you a penalty.
Okay, we also got to keep our steering on point to a 122.6, but that was only because we brake too late. And we end up giving a position back to Russell. We almost just completely went through that corner. But now we've got 2 corner cutting warnings. We have to, as we're really pushing the limit on that corner, we really have to focus on our racing line. As we get the place back from Russell. We're side by side with him actually, but he ends up giving up that position back into P6. Now we're following along behind Hamilton. The top 5.
Look pretty terrible, but that water is draining away. I think the intermediate is going to stay the tyre of choice for a while yet.
Okay, so sticking with intermediates. I don't really want to go to wets. I'm not very good on full wet tyres. So much harder to handle. And judging braking is very hard as we slide again. We were making some small gains there on Hamilton and we've just lost them. We did however go purple through sector 1, so we are still making really good time.
The rain is going to be lightening up over the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. You should start finding more grip as we clear the standing water.
Okay, so the rain will be starting to lighten up later on in the race. Another slide! Almost a spin there. We almost spun out. It's really not helping us as now Hamilton's gotten away from us again. But this is our track. Trying to defend our title here in Canada. We're doing a pretty good job. Another 122. So we're really pushing to try and get up to Hamilton now. So as Jeff said, that water, the rain should start to ease up, so hopefully later in the race we can get on some dry weather tyres.
Hang in there, we're attempting to manage it.
Right, just what we needed, an issue in the wet, as we make quick work of Hamilton. Trying to make a move on Norris, we can't quite do it. Right up behind Norris now. P5. Let's see what we can do. Making tracks. This could be a good race for us. Oh, a little bit of contact there with Norris.
It looks critical. Find somewhere to retire as soon as possible. We can't risk you carrying on with this race.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. We've been doing so well.
We need you to retire.
Oh, we were doing so well. Started P22. Last place. And we managed to fight our way all the way up to P5. So for the second time in 3 seasons.
Okay? That was a nasty hit. Turn the engine off and wait for the marshals.
Frustrating end to what was being such a good race.
That's it then for another magnificent Canadian Grand Prix, and they've hung on to take a sublime victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
So Bottas picking up yet more points in this championship. Another good win for him. I don't know how many wins that is this season now, but Bottas definitely showing that he is the informed driver this season. Schumacher manages to fight his way up to 8th, gets us a few more points for the Constructors' Championship, but we unfortunately finish this race in with a DNF in lap 6. It drops us down now to P9 in the driver's standings. Schumacher's now jumped up to P11. But yeah, disappointing for us today. No change in the constructor standings. Mercedes 38 points clear of Red Bull after the 1-2 today, and we're sitting P6 on 33 points, 40 points behind McLaren, but it's only round 6. We can still make our way up through the standings. Oh, so disappointing end today. For the second time in 3 seasons we've had to retire because of mechanical failure in Canada. But that's okay, we'll just take it in our stride, move on to the next race. Remember to like, comment, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, and it really would help me out a lot. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one, where hopefully we do a little bit better than we did today.